Thank you, Chair, Councillors. We, Greenways Parish Council, ask the Executive Board not to move forward with the Greenways section of the Haslingfield Greenway, the through village route, but rather to instead investigate shortening the Barton Greenway connection instead. We ask you not to proceed with this due to the detrimental aesthetic impact on a heritage village, the low projected use, especially coming from Haslingfield into Grantchester, the existence of an alternative route, the bulk path on the Barton Greenway, the high additional cost of the through village route, the democratic deficit in distinguishing the local response from the overall response, but then discounting that, in fact, very negative response, and some somewhat misleading answers that were given to the Joint Assembly, making its recommendation to the Executive Board flawed. Specifically, these were that the poor benefit-cost ratio of 0.11 to 1 of this section was buried by claiming a cross-network benefit, but this benefit is unaffected if using the bulk route instead. Secondly, a specific commitment given to the Parish Council by Councillor Smith, not the project team, that the Grantchester vote would be respected, was described as simply being the Parish Council our misunderstanding and overridden. It is not appropriate for GCP to decide what was agreed between Councillor Smith and the Parish Council. If our factual account of this agreement is correct, there is a breach of legitimate expectation. But perhaps most crucially, the question asked at the Joint Assembly, how much longer would it take a 12-year-old child to cycle the bulk path, was answered by giving the approximate distance, not the time taken, as was asked. After accounting for the reduced speeds on the through village route, we don't think there is any obvious time advantage. To put all this rather more colloquially, we're asking the Executive Board to confirm that it has considered points 1 to 6 above and to decline to approve the proposed through village route on the grounds of these points. And secondly, we ask the Executive Board if it will ask GCP to approach King's College to establish whether and on what terms the crossfield shortcut that would link the motorway to the bulk route and would shorten the bulk route, which I think the cyclists would all wish for, if this could be established. And I know there's been a lot in this question, it's quite packed, but what we're really asking you to do is not to press ahead with this part of the Greenway without the full facts. We think that there is a solution that would save money and make all stakeholders happy. We're asking you not to progress with the through village route, but at the very least, we're asking you not to take a decision as to whether or not to do so until there is a side-by-side comparison of the through village route, the crossfield route, and the bulk route on the basis of each of their net costs, i.e. the cost of the crossfield route after offsetting any compensation to the landowner, with the cost saved from the through village route, the aesthetic impact on a conservation village after taking into account any road safety audit requirements. We have experience in the village of designs having to be significantly changed with lighting added after the safety audit. And finally, the actual pragmatic cycling times for a 12-year-old cyclist, taking into account the actual obstructions she will face on the through village route. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to the Parish Council for engaging in the process. It's not correct to suggest that the proposals are unlawful. We follow due process, and we follow the same process we always undertake on schemes of this nature. The officer recommendations based on the technical assessment and the support in the consultation that was undertaken. In terms of the sort of detailed questions that have been asked, we are working, as I've confirmed previously, we are working with landscape officers and specialist consultants to ensure that the whole Greenways network is sympathetic to the environment that it goes through, and that includes Grantchester. In terms of the benefit cost ratio, there was no hiding the number. The number is published. We've been quite clear, and the board has been quite clear in terms of the assessment of the Greenways network as a network, and that's what's been brought forward in terms of the business case. Interestingly, the Joint Assembly has repeatedly challenged us to up the cycling target for the Greenways network. That work is undertaken as part of the business case assessment, which shows instead of 0.4, 1.7 benefit cost ratio for this leg of the network, not the network as a whole. The cost of the route through Grantchester is included in the future investment strategy that was considered by board. It is the most direct route, and the view is it is the route that will be used by cyclists. The paper makes clear the opposition from the local parish and from local residents. You asked us to produce that information, and we have. Nevertheless, there is strong support in the public consultation for the proposal through the village. We confirmed that the distance would be approximately 50% longer in the joint assembly, rising from 2.4 kilometres to 3.6 kilometres. And again, going back to what we're trying to achieve with Greenways and the point that was made by Brian earlier on in terms of trying to encourage alternative modes, we are proposing, or we are trying to encourage walking and cycling. And I suppose sending them on a 1.2 kilometre detour arguably doesn't do that. The route via the Bork is not direct or attractive to the scheme, and therefore the alignment through Grantchester is the officer recommendation that's before you.